Now we've got Alistair Overeem, who takes on Mark Hunt in what I'm going to call the co-main. I mean, this fight could be, a headliner in any card, so we'll give it. It's not officially the co-main, but I think we can call it the co-main, yeah?
The co-main of the co-main, but it's not even that. I think it's the first fight, right, of the main card.
Really? No, I was under the impression
of fight. I think. I'm not sure. I didn't see the order, but I believe it's the first fight of the night, which means I get to the locker room, have my mini celebration, get in the audience, and chill.
Yeah,
watch the other fights.
Well, you know what that is? The first fight of the pay-per-view card is the one that sets everything, gets everybody amped up. It gets everybody excited. So there you go. Maybe you are the first fight on the main card. Man, it's good to have you. Haven't really heard too much of you since, your last fight in September. And after watching the Ream, I guess I understand why, is that, in Albuquerque, you didn't do too much media, but you haven't been in Albuquerque this whole time. You've been doing a little bit of international travel.
Yeah, I'm a kind of international guy. As you know, my career, 11 years was in Japan. So I fought there, been going there like over 70 times. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we would do training camps in Thailand. I love it over there as well. So this time after the fight, of course, I had to collect myself, refine myself, assess everything. Because, fighting for the UFC heavyweight title is a big thing. And every fight is big. Every fight these days is big. But fighting for the belt is just a little bit more grand. So I needed some time, find myself, and assess the damage, assess the loss, what went wrong, why, blah, 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 blah. That's the process of finding yourself. Because, after a loss, everything kind of sucks a little bit. And I'm not going to call it depression because it's not a depression. Everything's still great, but still, it didn't go according to plan. So find yourself, that's one. And so that took like a week, maybe two. Let your body rest. And went back to Holland, see my family there, my friends, my lovely daughter. 2 daughters, actually, Jazz and Storm. And then we had a PR tour scheduled in Asia, through Asia. And we started in Hong Kong. Then we went to Beijing, Shanghai, Korea, Seoul, Busan. And we finished in Tokyo. And then, so that was like a high-paced trip. Plane in, plane out, doing a ton of media, meeting a lot of people, doing seminars. It was great. Good to have my mind off of the loss as well and just to restart. I brought a coach, so we just continued training. I always train. I never take off training-wise. And after that, back to Holland. Saw everybody again. I'm already in better spirits. Then we organized a training camp to Thailand. So I was there for a month and actually did spend Christmas and New Year's Eve there. And that was actually, your training is always shaping and always going in a direction. And there I got my next fight confirmed, which was against Mark Hunt. So we just basically immediately put it on him. Yep. And, yes, there's been a lot of traveling. And from there, I flew to Albuquerque and finished my training camp. So the last 5 weeks was in Albuquerque. Mm-hmm. But I've been literally all over. Thailand, China, Japan, Korea, Holland, of course.
Yeah, covering a lot of miles. It definitely seems like it.
Yeah, good for my mileage card.
I want to talk to you about a little more about Thailand, but one thing that I saw in the Ream, and I will say that anybody who hasn't checked this out, go and look at the Ream. It's very professionally done. I think it gives like a very good inside look at, not only the fight itself, but then what Alistair is describing, your travels in the meantime. One thing that you may have something to say on this, you may not, but one thing that stuck out to me is one of your coaches was talking about after that loss, that the ambulance ride to the hospital is something that you almost can't describe. And it's something that in this sport, we don't talk about a whole lot because we don't get to see that part of it. What is that like for you as the athlete? You just, not only did you fight for the UFC title, but you were this close to winning it. You knocked him down. You had the guillotine. What is that ambulance ride like for you, the athlete, immediately after the event?
Well, immediately after the event, you need some time to collect yourself, right? Because you're in this adrenaline rush and everything is happening and there's millions and millions of people all over the world tuned in and it's just like, it's crazy. So that's what I mean. You need some time to kind of find yourself and to get grounded again, and that takes like a week, maybe 2. And I would assume that goes for the winner as well. Stipe has the same. I mean, it was in his town, it was big, it's grand, and he won it. So he also needs some time to slow down from that peak. For me, it's also a peak because it's a lot of emotions go into it, a lot of energy goes into it, and not only for me but for the entire team. So everybody needs to kind of unwind after that and assess where you are, what's going on. Okay, we did not win the championship. So, okay, what are we going to do now? And it's a couple days, couple weeks maybe. Some people, like if you, for example, look at Ronda Rousey, she never really recovered from her Actually, first loss, because she lost twice, but first loss against Holly. She never really got that grounded. You have to add to that, you need to have the right people around you. Right environment and the right people. And I don't know, in her case, if she found that, because if you have the right environment, the right people, you will get there quicker. But if you have the wrong people around you, the wrong environment, you can kind of stay in limbo for a longer time. That's my experience.
Yeah.
That's my...
How long did that take you to learn that? Because you've had experience dealing with losses in the past. Was that something you were able to figure out pretty quickly, or does it take some time?
My thing is, I've been doing this for a long time, 23 years, not 20. I was 14 when I started training, so 23 years training and competing, and I have had huge fights all over the world. My first biggest fight was I was training free fighting Chuck Liddell for 88,000 people in Saitama Super Arena. It was massive. And I lost that fight. I've had several times I lost huge fights. Shogun in the Pride Grand Prix final in 2005. I won big fights, I lost big fights. But every time after you lose a fight, a huge fight, and Ronda Rousey's fights are always very huge.
Yeah.
I mean, bigger of magnitude actually here in the States. I mean, worldwide perhaps even. But, yeah, you got to refine yourself. And I'm a very optimistic guy, and I also think that it's a test of your character, right? You got to stay creative, you got to stay positive, you got to, life is all about ups and downs. And again, you got to have those people around you, that support system that kind of gets your head straight. And if you don't have it, then you're not going to be able to come back. But ultimately, you as an athlete, you as a fighter, you as a whatever, are responsible for that support system. You got to put that in place yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Another thing that stuck out from that documentary, and this is something that you said yourself, and I think is like within the first minute, you're talking about that Stipe fight, and you're like, I know every time I go in, there's a 50-50 chance I'm going to catch a big hand and I'm going to go down. And you are not the first heavyweight who has described it to me that exact same way. 50-50 chance I'm going to get knocked out in this fight. I don't really hear that from the lighter fighters, because, of course, you guys are swinging bigger hands, and it's just the strikes are more meaningful. What is that like as a heavyweight? Because, we've talked about it before. No one's defended the heavyweight title more than twice in the UFC. It's difficult to get a win streak going. That you have to almost have a different mindset than some of these smaller weight fighters, just knowing that, like, is it truly 50-50? Like, I can do everything I can get fully prepared for this fight, and at the end of the day, my chances are only 50-50.
Yeah, and maybe 51-49. But on a bad day, you're 49. And it could even be a little bit bigger. But, the level of competition is extremely high. Everybody's trained. Everybody got a game plan. Everybody got a nutritionist. Everybody got this. Everybody has everything. It's about, the stakes are high. It's about a lot of money. It's about a lot of interest. Everybody wants that gold strap around their waist and thinking, it's all. So everybody's going all in. And here you really realize, as people, we're all equal. And the chances are just the difference is not that big. It really is. Do you have a lucky day or not? And in some cases, there is some skill difference. But in general, it's a 50-50 coin toss.
That's crazy.
One
That's
mistake,
crazy to hear
boom,
you describe
done,
it like that.
Winning streak over, and you got to start over again.
There you go.
But again, you got to be optimistic in life. I find that also beautiful, because if things are too predictable, that sucks too, right? Every time, here's this guy again. That sucks too.
That's why people love the heavyweight division. Yeah, you never know.
Well, and they love it because it's the biggest, baddest animals on the planet, right?
Yeah, that doesn't hurt as well.
This is Brian Campbell.
Who is this?
In Bristol, Connecticut. This is Brian Campbell, the Brian Campbell, Reem. Come on, I'm talking to you, my man. Look, Brett mentioned how close you were to taking out Stipe there, but you also took some criticism for your style in that fight, which some people thought was passive. How did you respond to that?
Well, yeah, some people criticizing my fight style. Listen, I'm trying to come out of this career without brain damage. I've fought the best of the best in the world, been doing it forever, 24 years now. I fought, because it's not only MMA fights, I also did the K1 fights. Everybody curious can go to alistair.com and you can kind of see some of these K1 fights. These were badass guys as well. 87 fights all in total, so I'm just trying to get out of it without brain damage. And, listen, there's plenty of fighters who go in there and fight stupid, but in my opinion, you're just going to lose more fights. And I believe I have like a 80% win ratio. I'm trying to keep that percentage up. So forgive me that I'm trying to do that.
That's a fair take. That's a fair and balanced take. I'll give him that.
Hey, you were talking about the very elite competition in the heavyweight division. One thing about that division is that it seems to be a lot of the same names over and over again, though. I mean, if you look at your record, I mean, you do have some new blood every now and then, but it's mostly the staples of that division, the big names that we all know of. And within the last year, I feel like there's been two names who have kind of cropped up in the UFC's division. I know your full focus is on Mark Hunt, but since you're sitting here, I would like to get your opinion on him. Francis Ngannou, he's actually mentioned that he would like to fight you at some point. What do you think of Ngannou from what you've seen out of his fights?
Very strong guy. I mean, I remember we shared a locker room once, like a year and a half ago when I fought Junior. And there's also Derek Lewis. He had a great performance against Travis.
Yep.
Listen, I am very much open to fighting these guys. I'm very happy that these guys are, it's a fresh win in the heavyweight division because otherwise, again, I don't like predictability. I don't like boring. So I'm very happy we got some new guys in the division who I can fight. And to be honest, I cannot wait to test myself against these guys. So after this fight, perhaps I'm going to be waiting for these guys.
Well, and this might sound like a question out of left field, but let's go the other direction. A guy who's going the other direction is Travis Brown. He's someone that you're familiar with. You trained with him. You fought him. He's a bit on a tailspin now with the losing streak. What do you have any opinion on that, knowing Travis the way you do? Because a lot of people, that's been a talking point of what's wrong with Travis over the last year. What is your take on it?
Well, it started when he joined, what was that gym again?
Glendale Fight Club?
Yeah, Glendale. So I don't know, maybe you should take a look at that. Then again, you don't want to tell anybody what to do. It's his thing. It's actually his problem. I don't know him personally. He's not a friend. We fought once, and I saw him once at Jackson's. But yeah, it's. But again, looking at that support system, right? You got to figure it out yourself. You as a fighter are accountable to that, and apparently he's not doing a great job at it because he's still losing his fights. He's got how many losses in a row now? 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think 3 in a row. Yeah. Maybe lost 4 of his last 5.
So you got to do something. Yeah. You got to get up.
Hey, just a couple more questions because I know.
I'll tell you this too: when you lose fights, it sucks too, right? Like I said, when you lose a fight, everything sucks. You got to fix it. You got to do it for yourself. So you got to get up, and because nobody's gonna, of course you have your loved ones and your friends telling you, but you got to do it yourself. Make some changes.
You end up watching the Stipe fight, more than once, or do you watch it, see what happens, and then you're like, I don't ever really want to remind myself, I guess, of how close I was. What's your take?
No, I watch it. I mean, I watch it enough till I know what's up, what went wrong, what went right, etc., etc.